Hey gang, how are you doing? You know, this is a type of ridiculousness that the MK party is subjecting to and some of the white liberals in this country. Listen to this mumbo jumbo. This guy's son went to some voting station and voted there and blah, 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 blah. He's a leader of some of these careerist political parties that are owned by individuals, right? Like the many black political parties that have came out mushroomed from nowhere, right? And depleted votes across the board. You know what has happened. Now listen to what he's saying here. This is really, really pathetic, to say the very least, that he should be proud to come in the public domain and make these statements. And I'll tell you why on the other side of his comments. Let's listen to him for now.
Found out that in one voting station in Cape Town, you can't make this up. My son Reese de Beer voted for the first time in his life this year. My son went into the voting station, cast his 2 votes, national and regional, for the UIM. Heaven behold, when we came this week and started getting the voting certificates of the IEC, which indicates per voting station the amount of voters nationally that voted for the UIM per voting station. The voting station where my son voted showed a certificate count of UIM voters at that voting station with the number 0. Now you can take any of the other 23,000 voting stations and you can say to yourself, okay, but not that voting station. And now, certificate after certificate is coming in. Objection from us, by objection, is now floating of an incident recorded by the Freedom Front Plus that in a voting station in Gauteng, a 0 certificate was also lodged by the IEC in a voting station where their moderator of the Freedom Front Plus counted 178 votes. On objection to the IEC, they immediately recounted and found 178 votes of the Freedom Front Plus on the pile of the ANC. This is in writing. The affidavits were filed. There's nothing that we can do about it. Daai tyd het nou gegaan. We cannot object and we cannot appeal that objection.
Did you guys hear that? We cannot object, and we cannot appeal that objection. This guy founded a political party. He's a white liberal. He clearly is clueless of our laws, because what the Freedom Front Plus did, they didn't do it simply because they received favor or grace from the IEC. They did it because that's what Section 53 and Section 54 of the Electoral Act states. That in an event, you have a query, you submit it within a certain period of time. Once that has been submitted, then obviously the IEC will determine whether the VD slips together with what you are objecting to reconcile. Then they will make a decision whether there is a need for a re-vote or a simple reconciliation. Not a re-vote, a recount or a simple reconciliation. In the instance which he claims the Freedom Front Plus had complained, you see that there was a solution. The solution was a recount of that VD that was affected, and then the votes were given to the IEC. Why? Were given to the Freedom Front Plus. Why? Because the IEC is not out to rig elections. That's the point. Even in his own version, unbeknown to him, because he's now trying to create an impression publicly of finding the IEC guilty of some wrongdoing. No, 1,000 times no. When there is such a mammoth task, mistakes do happen, and you have a lot of individuals who are zealots for their political parties, who are young and upcoming, who are employed in these VDs. Hence, the controls that are in place to ensure that you have political party representations per VD, and they observe the counting on the scene per VD, and they record what is in the voting slip in their own diaries, so that when those VDs are reconciled and they what to call can see that, okay, wait a minute, why are we having 10 here? We're supposed to have 1,000 votes, because that's what the VD slip is supposed to reflect. That's what at least the shot that I took, or meaning I took a picture of it or I recorded it down. What is the discrepancy all about? And you submit it immediately with your evidence to the IEC. The matter gets to be resolved, no problems. The issue of the Freedom Front Plus was actually on TV at the time. The 26 or how many ever parties were complaining, and this woman she actually said, I have already made a submission to the IEC according to section 53. And that's important, good people, for all of us. I can't only speak when it's MK that is not following the law. I have to speak when white liberals like this gentleman are trying to discredit the IEC for their failure, because it is his failure to follow the law that is causing him not to be able to appeal the matter. And you're not going to be allowed to appeal the matter. Why? Because we are all equal before the law. If MK was not allowed to follow a process outside Section 53 and Section 54 and Section 55 of the Act, then you also are not allowed to follow the same. You're talking about your son who went and voted for the first time in some VD. How do you even know that his vote is not a spoiled ballot? How do you even know he's telling you the truth when he said he voted for you? How do we even know that you are telling us the truth when you say that in that video you got 0? How do we even know? You didn't show us the evidence to this effect. Considering that no one is supposed to take a picture of who they voted for and post it anywhere, how do you know who your son voted for? You have to take his word for it, right? Because he's your son, right? And we have to jeopardize the integrity of an organization of such a stature just simply because your son told you, and you have absolutely no proof that your son voted for you, and you have no proof that his vote, seeing that he was voting for the first time, is actually not a spoiled ballot. Come on, man. You shouldn't have made this video and placed it on TikTok. Yes, of course, you have a freedom of speech, but people need to know what is it that they place publicly in the public domain. I've listened to this DBA guy a couple of times on Biz News, and I got fed up with his attitude, because I've come to realize he's one of those individuals that are spreading a propaganda and trying to get South Africa. Remember, good people, if there is bloodshed here, it may be your blood, it may be mine, it may be your children, it may be my children. It's completely undesirable. We've got to understand the dynamics of elections. The process of elections is well defined, it's clear in law. If, for example, his son came back home and said, hey, I voted today, blah, 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 yippee, I'm happy with that. But what about the checks and balances that they ought to have placed of members who are observers? The fact that those votes were found amongst the voters of the ANC has got nothing to do with the IEC. That much I can guarantee you. I've worked in that space before. I've told you this before. And furthermore, I'm actually an auditor. But this is not about me. The point I'm trying to make here is this. The people who works in that environment, right? Those who choose to be corrupt, who choose to take the law in their own hands, are normally individuals who are ideologues, who are willing to die for a certain political party. These are the individuals that have been caught doing otherwise things that they should otherwise not be doing, and altering this and altering that, even the what you call in the capturing process. But there are checks and balances that are meant to detect all of that. One of such checks and balances is representation of political parties in the voting station, to observe the votes. Not only that, to observe the count. Not only that, to record the final count per that district, that voting station. Once you have done that, you are A for a way. You cannot be deceived. You cannot be robbed of your votes. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. And then if you suddenly get a number contrary to what you had recorded, you, within 24 hours of that number being published, you say, no, that number is incorrect. Here is a number. Boom, boom, boom. Please check your VD, and you will see when the voting slips, the VD slips have been tampered with. Because remember, they now have to change. The ink is going to give it away that they have to be changed. And then what was captured, then suddenly there will be a recount in that particular, not a revote, a recount, and a reconciliation done. Voila, you get your votes. Many political parties, and this does not warrant a revote. This does not warrant that elections must be started all over again, simply because out of 16.7 million people who voted, he didn't get his his son's vote. Can you imagine how ridiculous some people can be? This is about a country, okay? This is supposedly a political leader. This is about a country, not about your son, or about you as an individual. You getting to parliament does not benefit me or any other South African for that matter. It benefits you as an individual in that you get to earn from our tax money X amount of money. Okay, so please stop with the propaganda whilst you are ahead. I hope you get to see this video. Stop with the propaganda whilst you are ahead. There are laws and rules. You didn't follow Section 53. You didn't follow Section 54. And you also, after the elections, you didn't follow Section 55. So you are the one who's actually guilty of not following the law. Why are you making a TikTok video about it? Are you trying to promote lawlessness? Guys, we need to get tired of people like this. Whether they are black or white, we need to be fed up of people who are trying to hamper our constitutional democracy in the name of, no, they were voting, they were rigging of votes. I am not saying there were no rigging of votes. However, I understand how the system is designed to work. The system is designed. I have said to people repeatedly for years, people would come and say to me, the ANC is stealing the votes. Then I would say to them, that is impossible for ANC to steal the votes. You see, for example, the ANC lost Ekurhuleni. They lost the city of Tshwane. They lost the city, the city of Johannesburg. They lost Gqeberha. They lost the Western Cape as a city. This is years ago. These changes were effected as early as 2019, even before that. The ANC lost different metros. If they were stealing the votes, how are they losing these metros? Do you think these power-hungry ANC cadres wants to be losing these metros? No, because the system designed by IEC, right, is solid and it has been audited. The controls are adequate that we should have free and fair elections. That's why it irritates me when you have people like this without any proof of any kind coming forward and just being motor mouths. Okay, let me love you and leave you. Tell me what you think down below. I'm not saying people don't have a right to voice their concerns, but I'm simply saying let's follow due process. Let's not go on television or on TikTok to try to find someone guilty on a court of public opinion when the public themselves are ignorant of the process that ought to have been followed. Remember, I did say before Jacob Zuma went to the court, he would not win Section 47 1E. I said that. I have a video here online. Before, and you can pick up on the video, it was before they went to court. I said they would not win it. Why? I read the law and I understood it. Okay? It will help you to read these documents. I said they would not win it. I also called out what happened 2 days or so ago. I said they would not win taking the electoral court to the constitutional court. And I gave the reasons in the video that I did. So all I'm simply saying, practicing law obedience is good for you, is good for all of us. You will remain without a criminal record. You will be employable. You will be able to start a business. You will earn a living for your children. You would lead a good life. You would be able to pay tax so that there is someone who at least gets some RDP house or whatever the case may be. Our infrastructure would be developed. You will be a value to the country, not a nuisance. People are not going to lose their lives because of the statements which you have made publicly, which are falsified. Let's try and be responsible. Let's use the media and every platform where we go to be responsible citizens. Let us understand what we are talking about. Let's seek first, as Stephen Covey says. And by the way, let's read books, good people. Let's fall in love with reading books. Let's do what Stephen Covey says. Seek first to understand before seeking to be understood. Let us not fall prey of white liberals like this who are trying to create an impression that there is meritocracy in the people who are trying to destroy our constitution under the guise of vote rigging. Yet they've been saying well before the elections that the elections were going to be rigged. You get the point? Let's not fall prey of that. Let's not fall prey of these blacks who are agitating that we should hate white people. I'm not saying here you should hate this guy. I'm calling him out for the lies that he's propagating here. He should know better. He has a space. He's being interviewed, I don't know how many times on Biz News. I've listened to 3 of his interviews and I had it up to here. Then, therefore, I would not listen to him thereafter because he talks nonsense. Now I come across this video. Nevertheless, let me love you and leave you. It's not supposed to be a long video. This is nothing but white liberal propaganda. And when white liberals do what black race hustlers do, I must call them out. Remember that. That is why I formed a YouTube channel, to call people who are trying to destroy our constitutional democracy, who are trying to create an impression that we can't be the rainbow that we are. Remember, when you talk about the rainbow nation, you are not talking about something that Mandela was trying to create. He simply gave a name to it. It exists already. Everywhere in our country, there are honest white, black, colored Indians working together everywhere you go in our country. And then you find this minority few that has got a megaphone that is trying to destroy that is trying to say to the other one, remember, the great grandfather of this one came here in this year, and this is what they did. Fighting cosmic wars, trying to administer cosmic justice. It cannot be done. Okay, good people, let me love you and leave you. It's a short video, as I've already said. Ciao, ciao. Bye for now. You tell me down below what you think. Okay, bye.